Where was the housing?
You don't know about us paying like tens of billions of dollars for illegal housing?
I'm familiar with the hotels being rented out and shit, but is
Okay.
that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Housing for the illegal immigrants in the form of hotels, in the form of whatever they can fit them in. And who gets those contracts? Who gets those government contracts?
Yeah, I don't mind that, to tell you the truth.
You don't mind us spending money housing tens of millions of illegal immigrants?
I am much happier with people housed than I am with them unhoused.
Americans
I
or
think that-
illegals?
I am happier with any human being who is somewhere on the street, being somewhere there is a
But would you
door.
prioritize American citizens or illegals first?
I would prioritize whoever is available. Like, I think housing should be built for everyone.
Yeah, but who would you prioritize first? American citizens or illegals? Because we've been prioritizing illegals. And if you're okay with that, then just say it. That's completely fine. I am not. I think the fact that we have hundreds of thousands of people homeless in California, yet we're bringing in more illegal immigrants and then housing them with our taxpayer money instead of actually fixing a problem where Americans don't have houses themselves. And then you're taking tens of millions of people into houses. So increasing the market rent for people because there's less of it. I mean, that in no world does that make any sense to me.
I think that immigrants are a very important part of our
And
economy.
they are. I agree. Legal immigrants.
Yeah, well, I think illegal immigrants are an extremely important part of our economy. I think that without illegal immigrants, a lot of different parts of this country that work will not be working as well.
So Americans can't work or what?
Americans don't work the jobs
Why?
that illegal because they don't want to.
That's a very blanket statement. There's a lot of Americans who aren't even in the workforce anymore because they can't find a job that pays wages. Now, if we're going to raise tariffs on stuff and then incentivize companies to actually bring manufacturing back here and pay American wages, why would I not want that? Why would I not want the country to be stronger?
Well, there's a lot of stuff that we don't even know how to make. Like, Trump's talking about getting iPhones made here, and iPhones use chips that we don't have the technology or capacity to make.
Not yet. But those are made in Taiwan, which is an ally for now until China tries to take it over. That's why they're moving manufacturing here. The one thing I do like that Biden did, I don't know if it's going to work out,
Chips Act?
but the Chips Act. Now, I don't know if anything's been done. I don't think broken ground, but IBM, put a bunch of money behind it. It's something that had to be done. So that I do agree. I do like that Biden did it. I don't know how he's doing it, so I may not agree with that. But in theory, we need to move manufacturing back. Do you think China's going to let us keep Taiwan?
Well, if Trump is trying to move iPhone manufacturing here, especially since he was threatening to tariff specifically Apple, which I don't think you can, actually, I know it for a fact that you can't tariff specific companies. That is not how tariffs work. Not that Trump seems to know how tariffs work. But if he's going to be putting this large tariff on Apple, which is kind of a huge part of how a lot of people in this country live their lives, to bring manufacturing here to make stuff that we don't know how to make, that doesn't seem like good businessman stuff. That seems like sloppy, emotionally charged.
So we should let China continue to manufacture these parts with slave labor. Meanwhile, they are the largest contributor to climate change in the entire world, accounting for 32% of all emissions. China. And it's done with no freedom. It's done with slave labor. And it's done with repressive laws and no freedom of speech. So if it's between allowing China to make all this stuff and then we make all this money in America, we send it to China, and then China gets to use that money, come back, buy influence, buy houses, buy companies,
Farmland too.
Farmland. Like, what are we doing? We're getting cheap stuff made by slaves. We're giving the money to that country. The Communist Party is then buying assets and influence in America. Meanwhile, it's the largest emitter of climate change. In no world does that make any sense to me, and that's why I'm so for tariffs.
I love that you are putting the worker before the consumer, because I am always in support of putting the worker before the consumer, and the consumer would never be able to buy an Apple product again, unless, of course, they invest in Bitcoin, which officially endorsed by the Digital Social
Yeah,
Network
shout out to
podcast.
Bitcoin.
But So if we start doing these iPhones, which again, putting a tariff on one specific company is not how tariffs work. It's the same thing as when Trump was tariffing movies made in other countries. And it's like Trump came out as the president of the United States and said that he was going to tariff movies made in other countries.
Yeah, I remember he said that.
Yeah. You can't tariff services. You can tariff goods.
Okay, but you're not addressing you're pointing out small things.
Totally. But, it is worth noting that there's a lot of emotional sloppiness to it. And that's what I think motivated this I'm going to tariff Apple thing, which is just another one of those things where you could tell how unserious Trump is, and you could tell how poorly planned all this is, and you could tell that he's not running this ship by people before he
But
tweets
again,
it.
sorry,
Because
you're pointing out things that he said and say, this is what he meant, this is why it's not good. I just pointed out to the fact that China is the biggest emitter of carbon emissions, uses slave labor, they have no freedoms, and you just bypassed all that and you're talking about Trump? Like, dude, that's a massive issue. Well, that's huge.
I agree. I think that the way that China treats their workers is absolutely devastating. I also think that it's why the consumer is able to buy these products at the price that they are. So I agree that the American consumer should be paying way more for their iPhones because we should be using labor practices that are safe, which I don't believe libertarianism is very in support of, by the way. But I do think it's worth noting that it is, in fact, the average American who is going to be paying for that. And it's not as though bringing all these jobs here is going to make the country some sort of a bastion of technological development.
It's not. How is moving more jobs here not going to make us better?
Well, I mean, we've been doing AI here, and China came out and fucked all of our AI to death by introducing one that's faster, cheaper, and more efficient. Like, bringing jobs here to make chips that we don't know how to make for iPhones that are going to cost $7,000 is not going to make us...
Hold on a second. Chips are used in many different things. You have the microchips and you have the slightly larger ones that Taiwan makes. There's like this logistic chain of like 40 countries or 28 countries, including Germany, that makes all of the photovoltaic, I can't say the word, but you have this massive logistic chain that creates these chips. Why can't we make them here? What is it about that? Because that's exactly what the chip tax is addressing, and that's what Donald Trump's addressing.
I know.
There's no barrier to making the chips here. It's just the fact that it was cheaper over there, and now they're like, okay, guys, we got to make them here now.
Well, the barrier is that we don't know how to make them.
We actually do know how to make them. So it's just the fact that we don't have the capacity to make them because we don't have the factories built yet, but they're getting built.
And do you think that the labor practices there are going to... What do you think are appropriate labor practices for a factory like that?
In America?
Yeah. Right?
What do you mean?
Well, okay, let's say... So we're building chips factories. We're making $7,000 iPhones. And...
Well, you're assuming a lot there, but okay.
Help me figure out what I'm missing.
Oh, I am no way...
Sorry, we're building $6,000 iPhones. And you are in charge of the labor protections for the workers, because we need to make sure they're not being China slaves, right?
You mean like every other company does already in America?
How so?
Well, we have like laws and stuff like that, right? We have OSHA, we have things that protect workers.
And you're supportive of labor laws?
I think people should have the right to work and be comfortable in work and not be exploited. So that's just a general statement. If you're asking me specifically what part of OSHA I agree with, I can't get into those specifics. But yes, I agree that workers should have... What, do you think they shouldn't?
No, I think they should. The libertarian stuff, I get confused because it's very...
No, I'm not libertarian. I don't know if you thought I was.
Oh, I totally thought you were.
No, not at all. I'm not libertarian.
Oh, good, because libertarians are confusing. Especially,
no, I'm not libertarian.
Especially in terms of...
What would you label yourself, Fabian?
I was a classic Democrat, classic liberal Democrat. By the way, I saw that you liked Andrew Yang in 2020. I was a Yang Gang too.
You're a Yang Gang?
I love the way that he talked about things in different ways, such as why are we estimating the prosperity of our country just off GDP numbers? We should include health. We should include all these other things like mental health. Like, that makes so much sense. Stuff like that. These new ideas that people just don't want to try them. And that's why I love that Trump's doing it. He's like, look, clearly something's not working. We got to try something. And here's the crazy part. So we just started the Trump presidency, right? In 3 years, let's say that everything he does makes America incredibly stronger and everyone's a lot happier. Everyone's healthier with RFK doing all these things. What is the left going to fight about?
Wait, sorry. What is RFK going to do to make us healthier?
Well, he just removed COVID off the vaccine schedules for healthy kids and pregnant women.
Right. And that's going to make people healthier.
By not getting I don't want to say the word because I don't want to get you shadow banned.
I'll bleep it.
Yeah. But yeah, do you think that we should be getting more vaccines to make us healthier?
I think we should be getting whatever the doctors recommend.
Who tells the doctors to recommend stuff?
Here's the
No. Who tells the doctors what to recommend? The pharmaceutical companies and the pharmaceutical reps.
Well, what about the Surgeon General who RFK just appointed who doesn't have a medical degree?
Kaylee Means?
Is she the one who says she talks to trees?
I don't know if she said that, but...
She's the woo-woo Wiccan?
I don't know. We can't talk to trees?
The one who dropped out of...
I mean, I talk to myself all the time.
The one who dropped out of medical school because she said it was too stressful, which, by the way, real as fuck. I would do the same thing. But she's RFK's pick.
Okay.
How is the medical school dropout going to make us healthier?
Well, I just said one of the things that
anti-vax.
I just said one of the things that we did to try to make people healthier. Number one, I mean, like, are you not okay with making America healthy again? I just want to gauge. I don't know where you stand on that. Are you okay with artificial food dyes and corn oil in all our foods and sugar in all our foods?
I think that it is very important for us to monitor these things. I personally believe that this should be free enough of a country where the companies that are making this shit should be allowed to do what they want, as long as there are
So you're a free
regulations
market
in place.
capitalist then. You're a free market progressive capitalist.
I am totally for free markets when they are regulated, because there is a way to have free markets that are regulated. That
Which is
people-
what we have now. We have a massive regulation. Yeah, sure.
but I think that what RFK, who is one of the most unqualified people in the history of the United States government, says about
In the history,
what is
like even more than Kamala, who was vice
well,
president.
Kamala Harris has experience.
In what?
RFK Jr. is a nepo baby who has cried and sounded like he's choking on sand for the past several years.
That's crazy. I've never met anyone who hates RFK for trying to make America healthy. That's wild to me.
Wherever you guys are watching this show, I would truly appreciate it if you follow or subscribe. It helps a lot with the algorithm. It helps us get bigger and better guests, and it helps us grow the team. Truly means a lot. Thank you guys for supporting, and here's the episode.